Good morning. Uh, Good to see you. I had to click through and look at the screens. I like to see people's faces. I'm very grateful that it's possible to see your faces this morning. And, mm, if you're doing well this morning, I'm very happy. And if things seem difficult to you or there's suffering in your heart, then I'm glad you're here. Some people right now are really going through major um, suffering, all different kinds, fear, anxiety, feeling cut off, despair, anger, frustration, the whole thing. So I think what I'd like to do is just invite everyone to join me in offering a bow to everyone right now who's having a hard time. It's just a gesture of love and support. And I just also like to say Happy Easter and Pesach Sameach, Happy Passover. And coming up just in about 10 days is the beginning of Ramadan. So a blessed Ramadan, Mubarak. I had a lot of fun this week. I'm on the board of the Minnesota Multi-Faith Network, and we convened a bunch of Jewish, Muslim, and Christian people, and I got to be the token Buddhist. And we made a little video just wishing each other happy holidays. And guess what? Coming up, we have an exciting holiday, May 7th. In most of Asia, Vesak is celebrated, the birth of the Buddha. So we don't usually do a whole lot around here, but maybe we'll find some way to celebrate. So however you are, that's good. So my theme or title of this talk today is A Call to Collective Care. A Call to Collective Care. And this title is something that I came up with collaboratively with other people as a title to something else, which is I'm on the planning team for Minnesota Interfaith Power and Light, their Earth Day 2020 live stream, which we'll be having I think on the 22nd of this month. We're going to have a 2-hour live stream with all these people from all different religious traditions and musicians and artists as a call to collective care, recognizing that right now we need to take care of each other. And amazingly, we actually seem to be collectively kind of aware of it. Oh, wow. And that this call is ongoing, but right now, this more pronounced sense of it that we have in the world is something that we can turn towards, and we can recognize, and we can use as a way of moving forward with a sense that we are all in this together and no one should be left behind. And we want to care for everyone. And this is a calling that we can enact. And I mean, I just think it's really important to recognize that it's it's astonishing how much people have chosen to change because they care about each other right now. Hundreds of millions of people have made really radical changes to the way they conduct their lives really rapidly. I mean, I don't know, I don't remember the timeline. 3 weeks ago, if you said, yeah, we're all just going to stay in our houses and stay 6 feet apart, and or not all, but a lot of people, that had never occurred to me as even possible. And yet it's happening. It's happening in numerous countries. Wow. Wow. And it comes at an enormous sacrifice. People are giving up a lot to do this. Wow. So, I just want to recognize and help people to keep recognizing that it's like we actually can just realize we're connected to everybody, that we want them to be well, and we can make enormous, rapid changes. Wow, we're doing it already. We could do it some more. So, one of the great uh, figures of American history, Fannie Lou Hammer once said, "Nobody's free until everybody's free." Nobody's free till everybody's free. And this sounds pretty Mahayana. If you want to get involved with the Mahayana Great Vehicle Buddhism, which is really about everyone being free from suffering. And when we say freedom in this context, it means free from suffering. You know, Fannie Lou Hammer was an amazing person. She was a leader of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and the National Women's Political Caucus, a very early movement to train and empower women for political action. She was subject to forced sterilization by the state that she lived in. They didn't even tell her. She was beaten by police so badly that she had long-term physical and mental trauma and died quite young. She was shot at by people. So she knew a degree of non-freedom that I, as a white man, just can't, it's very hard for me to even imagine. And yet, she just kept standing up wherever she was in her space and saying, I'm willing to keep working for everyone to be free. Wow, amazing. And you know, this enormous, radical collective action that we are a part of that involves leadership, but also is very much just something that people are doing. You know, if you, all the people in here who are really following the advice to avoid being with other people, you could just not do that. You're choosing to do it. What did so leadership really matters, but I stay with the sage Patti Smith when it comes to the people have the power. Yes, yes, we do. But you know, Fannie Lou Hamer's message that nobody's free till everybody's free resonates in this time of radical, collective, compassionate action because we see the number of coronavirus deaths are massively disproportionate among Black people. See, you know, poor people are so much more affected. It's like you can't telecommute if you don't have a job. You can't stay home if you don't have a home. You know, it's hard. And just yesterday, I was talking with a dear friend who's works in a hospital, and is going through some tough times. You know, not supported. They don't have the what they call it PPE, personal protective equipment. I think I can. I don't think my son would mind if I tell you. You know, he makes food for people at a restaurant, and his girlfriend works in a clinic. So they get together and they stand 10 feet apart and they go for a walk. He said, "Yeah, it's hard. I hope we don't have to do this for 3 months." But they're making that choice, so it's hard. They're doing it. We can do this. It's pretty evident that people can get through difficult things because we're still here. We're still here. Human beings have walked through so much fire. Wow. Wow. So our practice can help us do that. Help us remember we're part of everything. Help us remember we have this capacity to offer something. Help us take care of ourselves when we feel like, oh my gosh, I can't. Ah. Oh, yeah, you can feel that and go, yeah, I can be here for my I can't. That's pretty good. Pretty good. So we love people. This is what my last talk was about. We already love people and we can actually just show up and enact that. And weirdly, the way to do it now is to just like stay away. All right, so we'll stay away, but we're still together. I talk about this all the time. Choosing to have a boundary with someone is a way of enacting your intimacy. Your intimacy can never be destroyed. We live in interdependence. So I want to take a little shift from this aspect of teaching where I'm talking all the time. And I want to invite some voices into the room briefly in a very specific way. Jeremy, would it be possible for you to make me the meeting host? Do you know how to do that? Could you turn over the meeting host to me and then turn off the recording or pause it because it'll just resume at the end of this period? Again, I would appreciate it. All right, so if you're just rejoining us, we just heard from some people talking about experiences that they'd seen where uh, something happened and something awakened, and that awakening of awareness of the need and the capacity for collective care carried forward. And I got to say, most of them were hard. Some of them were joyful, but a lot of it was stuff that's difficult. And that has been my experience. But it doesn't have to be. I invite you to notice, sometimes something really wonderful happens. When you fall in love with someone romantically and you realize you want to care for them your whole life, very beautiful. And this happens collectively. You go to a concert like Jody was talking about, and all that music, you hear and feel yourselves together. Wow, wow, we can awaken. We can awaken. So we're in the midst of practice period right now. So that's a 8-week period of committed and concentrated practice for a bunch of members of our community. We have about 40 people in practice period. 10 of them are from other parts of the country, which is just so wonderful. Taking advantage of the conditions that we have. Anyway, our theme in the practice period is Zen women ancestors. So I want to turn towards the teachings of a great woman ancestor named Jue King. And this is from this book that I'm always talking about how great it is, Daughters of Emptiness. Okay, so I'm going to read you a poem by Jue King, who, let's see, I think she's about a 14th century Chinese. That's like Chinese Zen nun. So this is written on a wall in a convent after she was expelled from the convent, because at that time in China, the nuns were all being expelled from the convents and being forcibly returned to lay life by government. In haste and hurry, we gather up our tattered robes and pack up our traveling bags. Not much to take. Sleeves brushing white clouds, we retreat to the cave's mouth. Carrying the moon on our shoulders, we circle the sky's edge. I feel such sad compassion for the young cranes resting on the pine tops, and for abandoning the flowers I planted at the foot of the fence. Again and again I admonish the cats and dogs not to hang around the homes of the lay people. I'm just going to read that again. In haste and hurry, we gather up our tattered robes and pack up our traveling bags. Not much to take. Sleeves brushing white clouds, we retreat to the cave's mouth. Carrying the moon on our shoulders, we circle the sky's edge. I feel such sad compassion for the young cranes nesting on the pine tops, and for abandoning the flowers I planted at the foot of the fence. Again and again, I admonish the cats and the dogs not to hang around the homes of the lay people. So this ends with a message of social distancing. Are we? We are so fortunate that we don't have to practice physical distancing from cats and dogs. Really. In my household, we have a really mean cat who only likes one person and stays in his room. And then we have a little rabbit. And I am really glad that we have those people to live with. And you may not have any such people to live with, but I encourage you to look for them. Oh, here we go. We have a dog over here with Jen. So yes, dogs and cats wandering through the screen. So we're fortunate. Um, but it's kind of a startling. It's a very common in Zen and Chan poetry to use a kind of a startling ending. So not to hang around the homes of the lay people. I'm like, well, geez, I like lay people. So she's a little startling. But what can I say about this? Is one, she is a nun. She made a deep and intense commitment to retreat into the convent and have a different kind of life than the normal lay life. And that is deep in her heart. And she's being forcibly returned to lay life. And so she's like, I'm going to go into the mountains and just live up there where they can't get me because I've made this commitment to this path. So I don't think, on the one hand, well, there is an aversion to lay life, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But on the affirmative side, this is just a person who recognized that in order to practice and to manifest her understanding of what liberation is, she needs to make the commitment to being in the context of deep practice. And I will return to that topic. On the other hand, yeah, it's not so cool to have some kind of huge distinction between ordained or clergy people and lay people. I think it's better to be closer. I do. And I hope that is what we are manifesting here in our community. That's my sense. So there's kind of a good and a bad side to this. We need boundaries. We need boundaries. But the problem is boundaries get too hard. So then we go, oh, my boundaries are too hard. I shouldn't have boundaries. And then it's a big mess too. So we have to continually, boundaries are a constant process of recognizing where is my place in this situation and what is the best thing for me to do? What is the best thing for me to do? And she believes that the best thing for her to do is to carry the moon on her shoulders. Wow. Carrying the moon on our shoulders, we circle the sky's edge. Wow. That's got to be heavy. You know how heavy the moon is? Oh, wow. Oh, I don't think so. What is the moon? In Buddhist literature, it tends to symbolize enlightenment, realization, the cool light, not that bright, harsh light where everything stands out as separate, but the cool, soft light that shows things in their interdependence. She says, we carry the moon on our shoulders. She's got a burden. Sometimes your practice will feel like a burden. Oh God, I have to sit again today. We had a retreat yesterday, our first MZMC online retreat, and it was really wonderful. But people were like, it's a little hard to sit in my house. I got all my books over here. I just want to grab a book. I got this screen with all these flashing images. Yeah. So sometimes it feels a little hard to carry the moon on our shoulders, to carry our practice forth. Yeah, but that's what she chooses to do. The burden she chooses to shoulder is realization. What even is that? It's weightless. If you walk outside with the moon on your back, it's weightless. There's no effort. It's easy. And all it is, have you ever had that moment where you look up and you see the moon is held by something? Maybe it's sitting right on top of a house, or you could like be standing in the right place and it's rising and it's just sitting on your head. How hard is it to hold that up? It's not hard. One time when I was leaving Village Zendo in New York City in Midtown, Boy, I hope I can remember this. I walked outside and this poem occurred. Leaving Still Mine Zendo in New York City, a huge moon is hanging from the fire escape. It doesn't take a lot of effort for the moon to hang. It's not like, oh my God, we're going to hang on here. Effortless. So there's effort. This is her burden, and yet what she's carrying is so light. We gathered up our tattered robes. Not much to take. If you have less to take, you are more free. I know this is true because I've moved. And I'm like, man, I sure have a lot of stuff. Look at all these books. Oh, well, I cart them around. So, but I try and carry it lightly. We try and carry it lightly. So Shui King has got this commitment to carry this practice forward, even if it involves challenges, even if it involves making some choices to not be with things that she might want to be with. And she also says, I feel such sad compassion for the young cranes nesting on the pine tops and for abandoning the flowers I planted at the foot of the fence. Yeah, some compassion. She's feeling, oh, I'm leaving these things behind. But how beautiful that she's not like, this sucks for me. She may feel that way, but that's not what she's telling us. She's just realizing we're in this together. I used to have a relationship with those birds. Your relationship with birds is a great kind of relationship. Do you get in each other's business? No, but you can just hear them with your whole hearing and your whole heart. Yeah, we can have this kind of relationship where we recognize, oh, we want to take care of this environment so that the young cranes can be in the trees and I can be here. But this feeling of abandoning the flowers, yeah, it's hard. It's hard sometimes. You tend your garden, you're like, oh, I'm doing this. People have a job, they get really into it, and then you leave. It's kind of hard, right? Things change, things we've made an enormous commitment to don't work out. Oh my Lord, can I tell you that's been true for me? All kinds of things, relationships, projects. Sometimes you put in so much work and then it's just time to move, time to go. People right now might have like stuff that they were really committed to, and then this pandemic and the conditions that have followed it, just feel like they've erased your effort. So it's hard. She feels that. Feel bad abandoning that. But you know what she does? She just keeps going. That's what's so cool. You can just feel that and then say, what's next? I'm going to take the moon on my shoulders and I'm going to keep going. How do you get the moon on your shoulders? Well, I don't really know. It's a kind of a strange image. You can go play outside at night. I recommend it. But to find this combination of effort and ease, the practice of Zazen will help you. You'll get closer to that middle ground, closer. So I'm going to just say one more little section here of this talk. So earlier I was talking about Fannie Lou Hamer, nobody's free until everybody's free. I find this very inspiring. Oh, I can get some more. I got some more Fannie Lou Hamer for you. I'll bet you're ready for that. This is one of my favorites. Fannie Lou Hamer, when I talk about you can keep going, she once said, if I fall, I'll fall 5 feet 4 inches forward in the fight for freedom. I'm not backing off. Just you put your whole body into it. Yeah, why not? You can throw your whole body into zazen. You may think, because I talk so much about this universal liberation and collective care, that it takes the form of some running around type of thing or frantically doing things. I don't really know, but I'll tell you personally, the way I do this the most is by trying to slow down. Yesterday, I spent 8 hours in this room, right in this little space, practicing zazen. I was leading the retreat, so I talked quite a bit because I was talking to students, but just being right here. This is a powerful way to enact this change. Without this kind of interior work, we just keep falling back into the same old treadmills, unconscious tendencies and patterns of harm. They need to be dissolved from within as well as without. As Bell Hooks once said, there must exist a practical model for social change that includes ways to transform consciousness that are linked to ways to transform structures. Wisdom. So anyway, Fannie Lou Hammer said, nobody's free till everybody's free. And I like to think, oh yeah, that sounds so Mahayana, it's so true. But actually, it's subtly not the same. So here's the thing. In early Buddhist texts, really the idea is you can be free, and not everyone has to be free. You personally can practice intensely an ethical life and meditation, and you can realize and attain nirvana and get off the wheel of suffering, and it's over. No aversion, no desire, no delusion, no rebirth. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And in fact, the language of escape occurs frequently in early polycanon texts. There is recognizing the danger of conditioned existence and recognizing the escape. Wow. Wow. Sometimes that sounds pretty good. I'd been through enough fire. Can I just escape? But Mahayana Buddhism turns this around a little bit and says, no, we're all interdependent. I don't want to escape. I don't want to be a Buddha. I want to be a Bodhisattva. And I want to vow to be here for everyone's liberation, for everyone. And that may sound like nobody's free till everybody's free, but actually in the Mahayana, you could get free. They affirm early Buddhist teachings that you can escape if you want to. You can do that. Valid. But we choose not to. It's a choice. I've been studying the Mahayana Samgraha. Asanga's text means the great gathering of the Mahayana. And in it, he describes the pinnacle of the practice of the path of the Mahayana. And he says, in brief, it's called renunciation or relinquishment. And then in detail, it's called relinquishing nirvana. Now, you may be like, you know what, Ben? I don't really think I'm going to nirvana, so that's a little bit outside of my field of experience or aspiration. But what is the spirit of it? To remember that actually we have ways we could get away. We have our escapes. And yet we are invited to choose to always turn towards collective care, towards everybody being free, as a choice, as a vow, as an aspiration, as an awakening of the heart. And you may be like, but I don't feel that way. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes we don't feel that way at all. So we need to care for ourselves. But then we can keep reminding ourselves that there's something bigger. Because if you remind yourself of this bigger thing, things open up and it feels less constricted and alone and complicated. It's so vast that it kind of give up on trying to figure it all out. And you can just breathe and hear, see, Know your heart. Understand the hearts of the people around you and the animals around you. The capacity for awakening is natural. It's natural. All right. Well, we have some time for other people's voices. And I think at this point, maybe I'll say goodbye to everyone who's watching this recording. May you be well. Thank you for being here with us. We don't record uh, the question and answer part of this. So take care.